Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah here. We're holding Mishnah Berurah Chelik Gimel, and Miyirtz Hashem today we will be learning Daf Ayin Tes Amud Aleph. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We pick up today on the very bottom line of the Shulchan Aruch on Ayin Ches Amud Beis, the words of the Ramah, Siman Shin Aleph, Sif Yud Aleph, bottom line, Haga Umikol Makom Aser. Our learning should be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanesunim Batzara Ubashivya, Ha'imdim Bein Bayam Ubein Bayabasha, Hamakim Yerachem Alehem, V'yetzihem Yitzara L'Rvacha Me'afela L'Oira, U'mishibud L'Geula, Hashta Bagala V'zman Kariv and Amar Amen. Our learning should be a schus Refuah Shalema for Rachel Shava Bas Itel Freedom, Shemer Ben Esther Fradel, Tzvi Ben Leah Miriam, Chava Dasa Bas Rezel Serel, Dvar Bas Shoshabina, and our learning should be a schus. The Rabbeinu Shalom should watch over all of our brothers and sisters who find themselves in harm's way. B'chol makom shehem. So, yesterday we began Siman Shin Aleph Sif Yud Aleph. And, of course, we're discussing here the halachas of HaTorah. We're discussing the halachas. What are you allowed to go out wearing and what are you not allowed to go out wearing on Shabbos? And yesterday, in Sif Yud Aleph, we began a very interesting topic, and that was the topic of a multifunctional item. So we've learned that you're allowed to go outside wearing a malbush. You're allowed to go outside wearing clothing. There was never any question about that. You're also allowed to go outside wearing something that is considered to be a takshit, some kind of an adornment. Jewelry, for example, because the same way that a malbush, a garment, is considered to be bottled to your guf, it's bottled to your body, and it's not considered external to you, it's not considered that you're carrying something, so to a takshit is also considered to be bottled to your guf, and therefore you're allowed to go out on Shabbos wearing a takshit. The question of Sif Yud Aleph became, what happens if you have something that is a dual-purpose item? On the one hand, it can serve as a takshit. But on the other hand, it's also lihishtamesh by. It also serves a function. And the example that the Mechaber gave over here was a very pretty silver key. So if you have a key that's made out of a precious metal, it's made out of silver, and maybe it's even shaped in a pretty way, maybe the head of the key is pretty. So on the one hand, this can serve as a takshit. On the other hand, it's a key, right? It has a function. It's to unlock the door. So now, how do we look at this? Can we look at it and say that it's a takshit, and therefore you're allowed to go out and wear it? Or do we look at it as a functional item, something that you are carrying to go use it for its function? Now, what came across very clearly from the Mishnah Berurah, and we can see it very clearly in the Biur Halacha, Biur Halacha Dibra Maschel Bezel Lahatir on Ayin Tes Amud Aleph, but we can see the short abridged version on the bottom of Ayin Ches Amud Beis in Shar Hatzion Oiskat Lamed Ches, where the Chavetz Chaim says very clearly, Ilu Haitzion Lihishtamesh Boi. This much is for certain. If you have this silver key, and let's say it's on a chain, and you put it on your neck, and you go outside with it on Shabbos, why? Because you want to have your key with you. If that's why you're wearing it on Shabbos, that the Chavetz Chaim says is bevadai aser. That is certainly aser. That, the Chavetz Chaim holds, is not up for discussion. So you have this beautiful silver key, maybe it's on a nice silver chain. If you put it around your neck and you walk outside with it on Shabbos, not because you want to takshit, not because you're wearing it as a pretty piece of jewelry, but you're going outside with it because I need my key, so I'm doing it to transport my key, the Chavetz Chaim says that is 100% aser, that is not up for discussion. What's up for discussion is, what if I want to wear it as a takshit? That's what I want from it. I really want it as a takshit. Now, once I have it as a takshit, I'll also use the key, but that's not why I'm putting it on. I'm not putting it on to take the key with me. I'm putting it on for a takshit. That's when this question comes up. So learns the Mishnah Berurah. And what we saw here in the Mechaber was the Mechaber brought down a machlokes. The Mechaber said, really, if it's made out of silver, right? Without talking about if it's made out of brass or it's made out of copper. That the Mishnah Berurah told us in Ice Cut and Membeis. If the key is made out of brass or it's made out of copper or it's made out of steel, in other words, it's not made out of a precious metal. So it's not made out of something that you would make jewelry out of. It's a key. That's what it is. Maybe you made it a little bit pretty the way you shaped it. That, the Mishnah Berurah says, no question. That's not a takshit. It doesn't become a takshit because you decided it should be a takshit. The question is if you made it out of silver. So it's made out of a precious metal, and it is pretty. So then the question becomes, can I wear it outside as a takshit? And the Mechaber brought down a machlokes. The Mechaber said, according to the first opinion, it's aser. Why is it aser? Not midaraisa. Midaraisa, it's mutter. Because midaraisa, it's taka takshit. It's made out of silver. It looks like a takshit. You put it on as a takshit. So midaraisa, it's a takshit. And since it's a takshit, midaraisa, it's mutter. But it's also midarabanan. Why is it also midarabanan? Because of marasayin. What's the marasayin? Somebody's going to see you outside on the street with this silver key. They're going to do an eye roll. And they're going to say, yeah, I know why he's wearing that. Because he wants the key to get back home. And if you're wearing it to transport the key, it's taka aser. So because of marasayin, it's aser. The second opinion in the beginning of Sif Yod Aleph said, no, if it's taka made out of silver, then it taka is a piece of jewelry. And if you put it on to be a piece of jewelry, and it's made and crafted like a piece of jewelry, then it's a piece of jewelry. Midaraisa, it's mutter. Marasayin, we don't have to worry about marasayin. If it's taka made out of a precious metal, so people will look and they will say, wow, that's a unique piece. It's like I mentioned, my wife has a brooch that looks like a violin. Right? So, okay, this person has a brooch that looks like a key, or a necklace that has a charm on it that looks like a key, but it's taka jewelry. So if you put it on for jewelry, and it's crafted like jewelry, it is jewelry, it's mutter midaraisa, and it's mutter even midarabbanan. That was the second opinion in the Mechaber, and now we turn to the Ramah. Against that backdrop, says the Ramah, Hagah. Umikal makom, even according to this second opinion. So we have this second opinion that's makel and says you made the key out of silver. It's taka a takshit. You're allowed to go out with it midaraisa, and there's no issa d'rabbanan of marasayin. Having said that, says the Ramah, umikal makom, nevertheless, aser lotzeis betik shel bate einayim shekorin brilin. You're not allowed to go out with a silver glasses carrying case. And let's just finish these words of the Ramah, and then we'll go to the Mishnah Berurah, who will tell us what's at play over here. Why can't you do this? So you have a silver glasses box. It's a silver box that's made to hold your glasses. And the Mishnah Berurah says you have a silver chain that this silver box is on. You're not allowed to go out with this on Shabbos, even according to the second opinion. So again, the second opinion said, if the key is made out of silver, so that's called a takshit. You're allowed to go out with it. There isn't even marasayin. Now the Ramah brings up, you have a silver glasses case, and it's hanging on a silver chain, and you have the glasses inside it. Are you allowed to go out with that? Says the Ramah, no, absolutely not. You know why? Because you're carrying the glasses. So what the Ramah is saying is, yes, we have a second opinion here in the Mechaber who says you could go out with a silver key. Fine, that's the key. But now you want to go out with a silver glasses case, but the silver glasses case has glasses in it. And the glasses are a masui. So forget the box. Maybe you want to call the silver box a takshit, but what are you going to do with the glasses? You're carrying the glasses. Let's take a look here at the Mishnah Berurah. Starts on the bottom line of Ayin Chesam and Beis. Mishnah Berurah is cut in Mem Gimel. Also, Lot says Petik. What is this? Explains the Chavetz Chaim. Hainu Tik Shel Kesef. This was a silver box. v'kavua b'shalsheles, and it's affixed to a chain, v'litlois al tzavoroi l'takshit, and you want to hang it around your neck as a takshit, a beautiful silver box. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, that has to be the case that the Ramah is discussing. In other words, the Ramah doesn't say a word about the chain. All the Ramah says is you're not allowed to go out with a silver glasses box. Says the Mishnah Berurah, we have to be talking about a case where the box is affixed to a chain and you want to wear it around your neck. Why? If we were talking about, if the Ramah was addressing the question of, can you go out holding this silver glasses case in your hand? That's usher even if the glasses case is 100% a takshit, and even if there are no glasses in it. You're not allowed to go outside carrying a takshit. The whole conversation that we're having about takshitim is a question of wearing takshitim. But you're definitely not allowed to go outside carrying takshitim. So when the Ramah discusses this case of the silver glasses box, clearly he's talking about where you're wearing it on your person by hanging it around your neck from a chain. And what did the Ramah say? The Ramah said it's usher. Why is it usher? Because forget the question of whether or not the silver box is a takshit. Inside the silver box, there are glasses. You're not allowed to carry the glasses. The glasses aren't a takshit. Says the Mishnah Berurah's Cut Mem Dalet. The glasses are a burden that you're carrying. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this is very similar to another case. V'hu bin don shel kesef. The same halacha would apply to a silver knife scabbard or sheath. So you have a very ornamental scabbard for a knife that's made out of silver. Maybe it's a very beautiful handcrafted silver scabbard, and it's taka ornamental, and it's taka takshit. But you can't go out with it in yesh baisakin. You can't go out with it if it has a knife in it, because the knife is not a takshit, and you're carrying the knife. Says the Chavetz Chaim, somebody might come with the following svara. Somebody will come and he will say, oh, this should be mutter. You know why? Because the silver glasses box is a beautiful takshit. That's a beautiful adornment. The glasses inside? The glasses inside are bottled to the case. So it's not pshat that when you put it on, you're carrying the glasses. The glasses are bottled to the case. The case is the ikker. The glasses are the tuffle. The glasses are bottled to the case. The case I'm allowed to carry because it's a takshit. Same thing with the knife. Maybe you'll say the ornamental scabbard is the ikker. The knife that's inside is the tuffle. The knife is bottled to the scabbard. I'm carrying the scabbard. And the scabbard is a takshit. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you definitely can't say that. El adarabba, it's punkt fakert. Hasakin va'abote einayim hemel ikker. There's no question that when you're talking about a knife in an ornamental scabbard, the knife is the ikker, the scabbard is the tuffle. There's no question when you have glasses in a silver glasses case, the glasses are the ikker and the case is the tuffle. Not the other way around. Taha, and he brings a very interesting raya. Taha, ein oimrim nase bote einayim litik. Did you ever hear anybody say, he goes to the glasses store and he says, I have a beautiful silver glasses case. I need a pair of glasses for the case. No, you get a pair of glasses. Now I need a case to carry the glasses. So maybe I want a very fancy case because I'm a fancy guy. So fine. So I'll go find somebody who could craft me a fancy case. But I'm making a fancy case for my glasses. Nobody goes around and says, I need glasses for my case, right? Nobody says, I'm going to make a knife for my scabbard. No, it's a scabbard for the knife. So the knife and the glasses are the ikker, the scabbard and the case are the tuffle. And therefore you cannot say, you can't put forth such a havamina that the glasses should be bottled to the case and the knife should be bottled to the scabbard. Now, the Mishnah Berurah makes another case here. V'hinei, kol zeh mayri l'inyan losei satik shel habote einayim im habote einayim shebesoicha al tzavar l'takshit. This whole question that we're dealing with over here is where you have glasses that are in the case, You want to wear the case with the glasses inside it around your neck as a tachshit. But but to wear the glasses on your nose where there's no erev, bevadai aser belav, that is definitely aser. Now hold it. People are looking at the screen right now. What? Wear glasses? You're not allowed to wear glasses on Shabbos? I'll tell you what this means. This is not talking about our eyeglasses that have temples that wrap around behind our ears. This is talking about what was known in the olden days as, and the way it's pronounced in English, is a pince nez. A pince nez were, if you imagine, only the front of the glasses. It's the two lenses with the bridge in the middle. By the way, I can't see my screen right now because my prescription is so strong. Once I take my glasses off, I can't see nothing. So a pince nez is only the front without the temple and the temples. And the way it stayed on was you just positioned it on the bridge of your nose and you like squinted. You contracted, if you will, the bridge of your nose to grab the bridge of the glasses, and that's how it stayed on. It wasn't affixed to your face by being supported by your ears with the temples. That's what the Mishnah Berurah is talking over here. He says to go out with such glasses, to go out with a pince nez on Shabbos where there's no erev, that's bevadai aser belav. You know why? Dilma yiplume elav va'asulasi arba amis. The Chai Adam says that would be definitely aser because that's like the tachshit that we learned about the other day, where if you have tachshitim that could easily fall off, you're not allowed to wear them on Shabbos, despite the fact that they're considered a tachshit. Why? Because if they can easily fall off, we're afraid it might fall off and you might come to carry a Daled Amos in Rishus HaRabim. Okay, so we've dealt here with the case of the eyeglass case. Now, the Ramah turns back to the question of the Shabbos key. Now again, let's just remind ourselves. In the beginning of Sif Yod Aleph, the Mechaber was specifically discussing the case of the silver Shabbos key. By the silver Shabbos key, the Mechaber brought down a machlokes. We have a first opinion. If you put it on as a tachshit, the first opinion holds it's aser midrabanan because of marasayin. The second opinion says if it's taka made out of silver, it's not aser midrabanan. There is no marasayin. Why? Because it's silver. No one is going to say you put it on as a tachshit, as for the tashmish. No one's going to say that you're carrying it to transport your key. They're going to look at it as a piece of jewelry. But remember what we said. But everybody would agree, according to the Mishnah Berurah, that if you are putting on this silver key in order to transport it on Shabbos for the purpose of the key, for the functionality of the key, that would be also b'daraisa, the Mishnah Berurah says. Now, how about if it's not made out of silver? How about if it's made of copper, brass, steel? So it's not made like a piece of jewelry. It might be a little bit prettied up, but it's not made out of precious metal at all. Over there we said, and you could see this in Mishnah Berurah's Cut Membeis, over there we said that that's definitely aser. And from the Aruch HaShulchan it would seem that that means that that's also b'daraisa. If it's made out of a plain metal, it's not a tachshit. There's nothing that qualifies it as a tachshit. Therefore it's a masui. And therefore that would be aser. I don't want to say for sure that it would be aser b'daraisa because the question is going to come up, is that called being moitziat kederech kol hametzion or not? Maybe it's not a daraisa, but it definitely would be aser. Okay, now the Ramah expands on this question of the key that's not made out of silver. Says the Ramah, if the key is made out of copper or iron, so it's not a tachshit. It's made out of non-precious metal at all. It's made like all keys are made. It's made out of copper or steel or brass. So it's a mamish key. Says the Ramah, so it's not a tachshit, then you should know, even if you go ahead and you attach it to your belt, aser, it's still aser to take it out on Shabbos. Says the Ramah weiter, but there are those that write, that the minig is to be matir, to take out this metal key if it's attached to your belt. What does this mean? How is it attached to your belt? So first, let's just remember how the Ramah frames this question. We're talking about a key that is not made like a piece of jewelry. We're talking about a key that's made out of iron or copper. It's a key. It's not a takshit. The question is, what you did with it is, you're attaching it to your belt. Okay? Your belt is a malbush. Your belt, you're definitely allowed to go out with on Shabbos. Now what you're trying to do is, you're taking a key, and you're attaching it to your belt. And you want to be able to wear it outside on Shabbos, kind of agav your belt, together with your belt. You want to make it part of your belt. And you want to say, I'm not carrying it. It's part of my belt. I'm wearing my belt. My belt is a malbush. My key is now part of my belt. Says the Ramah that in the first opinion, he says, no, that would be osir. Then he brings down a second opinion, there are those that say that it's mutter. But now let's go into the Mishnah Berurah's Kat Memhei, and let's get into the weeds of this machlokes. Says the Chavetz Chaim Bazeh Lahatir. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this that there's an opinion that says that you could take this key, which is not a takshit, and you could attach it to your belt, and it's mutter to wear it outside, Davka kishu mechuber v'kavua b'roish hachagor. What this means is, it's not just attached to your belt, anywhere in the middle of your belt. No, it's attached to the head of your belt, a.k.a. the buckle. It's attached to the buckle of the belt. Not only is it attached to the buckle of the belt, va'asui ke'ein zenkel. It's made like a zenkel. What's a zenkel? Hu ke'ein keres. That's a type of a hook. Oy masha anu kairin sprunskis lachgerboy. What you're doing over here is, on a standard issue belt with a buckle, you've got the frame of the buckle, and then you've got, I don't even know what it's called in English, believe it or not, but kind of like the pin in the middle of the buckle that goes into the hole of the belt. That's what you're making. You're making that out of the key. Says the Mishnah Berurah, when the Ramah brings down that there are those shittas that say, if you attach the key to the belt, you're allowed to go out with it, it doesn't mean that just somewhere on the middle of your belt, you went ahead and you put on Velcro or something, and you stuck the key to your belt. No, that would be osir. Everybody would agree that that's osir. What we're talking about over here is, you made the key part of the belt. Not only you made it part of the belt, you made it a functional part of the belt. You might even want to say it's a main part of the belt. It's the pin that's allowing you to fasten the belt closed. That's when there's a yesha kasvu, that it's mutter. Let's see it inside of the Mishnah Berurah. You made it this zenkel, or this keres, or this sprunskis, lachkarboy, the ozamrinon. Then we say, since the belt is attached to the iron key, it's mamish one piece. Not only it's mamish one piece, it's one piece, meaning not just that it's connected, but it's mamish a part of the belt. It's a main part of the belt. It's the fastening part of the belt. So even though it happens to be that you also could use this zenkel of the belt to unlock your front door, in this case, the key is considered bottled to the belt. You know why it's considered bottled to the belt? Because it's mamish a functional part of the belt. So it's bottled to the belt. Happens to be, I have a tricky belt. I have a belt that I could use to unlock my front door. But it's a belt. There's no question that that key is a part of the belt. But if you just want to take the key and attach it to the middle of your belt somewhere, osir, that would be 100% osir. Nobody is going to suggest that if you took a key and you stuck it somewhere on the middle of your belt, that somehow the key is bottled to the belt. No, the key is not bottled to the belt. There's a belt and there's a key. They have nothing to do with each other. In that case, the key has nothing to do with the belt. In our scenario where it's mutter, you mamish made the key a part of the belt. And it's a functional part of the belt. That's why it's mutter, because it is buttled to the belt. But if you just stick it somewhere in the middle of the belt, it's not buttled to the belt. Say that 10 times fast. Buttled to the belt, buttled to the belt, buttled to the belt. Okay, therefore, says the Chavetz Chaim, Oisano Anoshim, those people, Shemoirin la'atzman heter, that are moira heter for themselves, loses b'Shabbos, to carry a key on Shabbos, machma shetoli ha'maftech b'barzel ha'kavua b'chagora, by virtue of the fact that what they did is they take a key and they attach it to like a key ring or something that's attached to their belt. That's what he says here. They're machma shetoli ha'maftech, they're hanging the key b'barzel ha'kavua b'chagora, by a piece of iron that's attached to the belt. Sounds like there's a key ring or something attached to the belt, and they're hanging the key off of that. Can't do that. Or people take a piece of string and they put it through the eye on the head of the key, and they tie a double knot and they tie it around their belt. There's no way that that's mutter. Who toyus? That's a toyus. Dein heter elim aftech gufa also mitchilasa kein zenkel dafka. The only time there's any heter is if, again, you made the key a functional part of the belt, where it's the key that's actually fastening the belt together. Then you could say that the key is bottled to the belt. Now, how about, let's go back to the silver key. Remember that the Ramah over here was talking about an iron or a copper key. So, in the Ramah's case, there's no tzad to say that the key is a takshit. We're talking about a regular key, a regular copper or iron or brass key. That's what the Ramah over here is talking about. He's talking about how can you carry it if you make it as part of your belt. So if you make it the zenkel, then it's mamish a functional part of the belt. It's bottled to the belt. You can carry the key with the belt. But if you take this brass, copper, iron key and you just hang it from a key ring on your belt, then you're not allowed to carry it, because then it's not bottled to the belt. It has nothing to do with the belt. Now the Mishnah Berurah is going back, okay, but how about if the key is silver? Once the key is silver, according to the second opinion in the Shulchan Aruch, in the beginning of Sif Yod Aleph, once you're dealing with a silver key, not the first opinion, the second opinion. The second opinion says the silver key is a takshit. Oh, so says the Mishnah Berurah. If we're dealing with a silver key, and you take a silver key and you stick it somewhere on the middle of your belt, even though now the key is not the zenkel, you didn't make it a functional part of the belt, still by a silver key, there are those that are going to say that it's mutter. This is the second opinion that the Mechaber brought down in the beginning of the Sif. If you're dealing with a silver key, then it's a piece of jewelry. So according to the second opinion, it's mutter b'daraisa because it's a takshit, and it's mutter b'darabanan because we say there's no marasayin, because it's actually a piece of jewelry. So if you take that and you stick it onto the middle of your belt, so it's kind of like a fancy belt buckle or a fancy design on the side of your belt, that according to the second opinion in the beginning of the Sif, that would be mutter. V'yesh oisrim, but there are those who disagree. The first opinion in the Mechaber, v'chanal b'Sif Yod Aleph. Okay. Now, the Mishnah Berurah turns to another very, very, very well-known shaila. V'lasei says hamoira shoyis, to carry a watch. V'lasei says hamoira shoyis, urzeiger, a watch. What kind of watch? We'll have to see. Bibigodov, to carry a pocket watch in your pocket. You're not wearing it. It's not showing out. You're carrying it in your pocket. Everybody would say that that's also. You can't call it a takshit. What do you mean? You're not wearing it. You're not wearing it. It's not part of your clothing. You're sticking it in your pocket. How could that be a takshit? So therefore, that everybody would agree is also. And if you left your house with the pocket watch in your pocket and you walked out from your house into a real bona fide Rishos HaRabim, you'd be over in Issa Daraisa. If you did it b'shoigeg, you forgot it Shabbos, or you forgot that this is also on Shabbos, you would be chayiv to bring a korban chatos. Va'afilu imu mechuber l'revid hazov, even if it's attached to a golden chain, shenoise al tzavoroi. You take a beautiful golden chain and you hang the watch from a beautiful golden chain, and you put the beautiful golden chain around your neck. Well, the golden chain is a takshit. It's a golden chain. It's a takshit. So the golden chain is not a problem. You're allowed to go out with the golden chain. Now you're hanging the pocket watch from the golden chain. Are you allowed to go out with that? Says the Mishnah Berurah, no. Gam kein iser gomerhu. This also would be mamash in iser daraisa. Tahamay rishois yesha chashivas b'fnei atzmai ve'ena batal legabe revid. What the Mishnah Berurah is saying is like this. Nobody is suggesting that the watch itself is a takshit. What you're doing by taking the watch and attaching it to the chain is the chain is a takshit. Now somehow you want to be mavatal the watch to the chain. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you can't be mavatal the watch to the chain. The watch is a functional item. It's a very choshev functional item. It's not going to be bottled to the chain. So you're right that the chain is a takshit, but the watch is not a takshit. And therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, this would be aser. Now, how about our watches nowadays? You wear a watch on your wrist. So, the famous tshuva of Rav Moshe's in the Igris, it's Chelik Aleph, Siman Kuf Yod Aleph, famous tshuva, where Rav Moshe says that a watch that you wear on your wrist is not a takshit, it's a malbush. It's considered a garment. And therefore, Rav Moshe says that me'ikar hadin, you're allowed to wear a watch outside on Shabbos out of the Erev. Rav Moshe does say over there that he asks that his Talmidim and maybe B'nai Torah should refrain from wearing watches outside of the Erev. Why is a whole different story. But Rav Moshe writes very clearly in the tshuva over there that he believes that a watch is a malbush. It's actually a garment, not a takshit. He brings some very interesting rayas. I don't want to go into it because there are some pieces over there that I don't have clear exactly what he means. I have kashas on it. Not that I have kashas on it. My kashas on Rav Moshe's tshuva are not worth anything. It just means that I don't understand it. And until I have greater clarity on it, I wouldn't bring it up for discussion. But however, halacha l'maaseh, this is what Rav Moshe writes. Rav Moshe writes that me'ikar hadin, you're allowed to wear the watch outside of the Erev because the watch is considered a malbush, not a takshit. It's considered actually a garment. Okay. Now let's turn to Sif Yud Beis. 4 lines down, end of the line. Here on Ayin Tes Amud Aleph says the Mechaber. We already spoke on Ayin Ches Amud Aleph, Sif Ches. We spoke about the question of a person going out with a needle stuck in his clothing. And we discussed 2 different types of needles. We discussed a needle with an eye and a needle without an eye. And the Mechaber brought down 2 opinions, and there are 2 opinions that are the opposite of each other. The first opinion in Sif Ches said, you're not allowed to go out with a needle. That's for sure. You're not allowed to go out with any kind of needle stuck in your clothing. Why? Because a needle is not considered a takshit. So it's not a garment. It's not a takshit. So what is it? Well, we know already. If something is not a garment and something is not a takshit, then it's a masui. It's a burden. And you're not allowed to go out with it on Shabbos. The question then became, is it an issa d'Rabbanan or is it an issa d'Oraisa? What did that question hinge on? It hinged on, when you go out with a needle that's stuck in your clothing, is that called being moitziit kederech kol hametziin? Is that called carrying it in a typical fashion, and therefore it would be an issa d'Oraisa? Or is it considered carrying it in an abnormal fashion? Is it called carrying klachar yad? And if you're carrying it in an abnormal fashion, then it's only an issa d'Rabbanan, not an issa d'Oraisa. That's what the question hinged upon. The first opinion said, well, if it's a needle that has an eye, then it's an issa d'Oraisa. Why? Because it is the derech to sometimes go out with a needle with an eye, even for a man. It's sometimes the derech to do that. If it's a needle without an eye, the first opinion said that's only an issa d'Rabbanan because that's atypical. A man doesn't go out with a needle without an eye. stuck in his clothing. The second opinion said mamish fakert. The second opinion said for a man to go out with a needle with an eye stuck in his clothing, atypical. That's not normal. Why? Because people are going to call him a tailor. He doesn't want to be called a Schneider. Somehow that was derogatory. He's going to be looked down upon that he's a tailor. To go out with a needle without an eye, sometimes people do that. They find a needle, they need a toothpick, they stick it in their clothing. So that's what we learned in Sif Ches. Now we're coming over here in Sif Yud Beis. Now we're going to talk about a tailor. Back in Sif Ches, we were talking about Stam B'nei Odom, regular John Q. citizen. Now in Sif Yud Beis, we're talking specifically about a tailor. Now, the other thing you should understand is, once we're talking specifically about a tailor, we're also talking about a specific type of needle. We're talking about a needle with an eye. That's the type of needle a tailor uses. A tailor uses a needle with an eye to sew with. So, says the Mechaber like this, Lo yetzei achayat, a tailor is not allowed to go out b'machat, with a needle, and that's a needle with an eye, hatchuva loy bebigdoi. A tailor is not allowed to go out with a needle with an eye stuck in his clothing. V'loy nagar, and a carpenter is not allowed to go outside, b'kisem shaba'oznai, with a wooden straight edge behind his ear. You know, the way we take a pen and stick it behind your ear. So a carpenter would take a wooden straight edge and stick it behind his ear. He's not allowed to go out like that on Shabbos. V'loy soyrek b'mishicha shebetzavori. And somebody whose occupation is to comb out textiles is not allowed to go out with a string around his neck. Apparently there was a string that they would use when you comb textiles. So you would make bundles of the textiles, you would tie them with a string, and then you whack them and pull them on the comb. It's called carding. So the symbol for that was the string around the neck. In all of these cases, says the Mechaber, v'im yotza, but if the tailor goes out with the needle with an eye stuck in his clothing, if the carpenter goes out with the straight edge behind his ear, if the comber goes out with the string around his neck, v'im yotza potter, this is only an Issa D'Rabbanan. It's not an Issa D'Oraisa. Okay, what's at play over here? Says the Mishnah Berurah Kat Mem Vav. B'machat hatchuva, explains the Mishnah Berurah, you have to understand what's going on over here, and this is based on a brisa in Masechta Shabbos. Kol elu heim shenoistin b'nei ha'umnis l'simin me'ezoi umnis heim b'tzeisem l'shuk k'dei she'akirum. You know why they did this? They didn't do this because they carried around the tools of their trade and they wanted to have it handy. Nowadays, the carpenter sticks a pen or a marker behind his ear because he's busy marking his 2x4s to make the line where he has to cut. He goes, he makes a line, and then he sticks it back behind his ear so that he has it. He takes the saw, he cuts, then he has to make another line. That's not what's going on over here. The Gemara and the Rishonim say in Masechta Shabbos, what's going on over here is these were identification badges. A tailor went outside with a needle with an eye stuck in his clothing so that people in the marketplace who are looking for a tailor could identify a tailor. And now that they could go over to him and say, oh, could you make alterations on my suit? A carpenter went with the straight edge behind his ear so that somebody who needs a new kitchen would come over to him and say, I see you're a carpenter, I have a job for you. So these were identification badges. That's what's going on over here, says the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, against that backdrop, says the Mishnah Berurah's Kat Mem Zayin, the Mechaber said, V'im yotza potter. If they go out like this, it's an Issa D'Rabbanan. Okay, let's analyze this for a second. How do we look at these items? Are these items tachshitim? Well, I can tell you one thing. Back in Sif Ches, in Sif Ches, so that's on Ayin Ches Amud Aleph, in Mishnah Berurah, Ois Cotton Lamed Beis, the Chavetz Chaim told us, Machat lo yev tachshit leish b'chol gavni. These are not tachshitim. A machat, a needle stuck in the clothing, is not a tachshit. A wooden straight edge is not a tachshit. These are not adornments. These are not pieces of jewelry. Now remember, the carpenter who's going out on Shabbos with this wooden straight edge stuck behind his ear, he's not doing it as an adornment. He's not getting dressed up to go to shul on Shabbos, and this is my jewelry, is my wooden straight edge. No, this is something you wear in the shuk when you want to get jobs. So these are not takshitim. So these are definitely not takshitim. So they're not malbushim, they're not clothing, they're not takshitim. So what are they? They're amasui. These are burdens. So if they're burdens, how do we determine whether it's an issa d'oraisa to go out with it or it's an issa d'rabbanan? Well, again, what does it hinge upon? It hinges upon, is this being moitziit kederech kol hamitziyin? Again, when the tailor goes out with a needle with an eye stuck in his clothing, we're not going to call that needle a malbush. It's not a garment. We're not going to call it a takshit. It's not a piece of jewelry. So what is it? It's a masui. It's something that you're carrying. You're not allowed to carry on Shabbos. Even if you're wearing it, you're not allowed to carry it. You're only allowed to do that if it's a malbush or a takshit. This is not a malbush. It's not a takshit. So it's definitely usher. The question is it issa d'rabbanan or is it an issa d'oraisa? What does that hinge upon? Are you being moitziat kederech kol hamitziyin? Are you carrying it in a typical fashion or in an atypical fashion? That's what this question boils down to. So therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah Mem Zayin, in all of these cases, the Mechaber says, im yatsa potter. If you go out with any of these items, it's only an issa d'rabbanan. It's potter aval aser. Why? Because no, this is not being moitzi kederech kol hamitziyin. Now, what do you mean? I thought you told me that a tailor puts a needle with an eye in his clothing as an identification badge, so people should know that he's a tailor. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, ta'afilu uman, even the carpenter, even the tailor, even the carter, dafka kishu roitza lahakriz al atzmai shehu uman az moitzi bekach. It's not the normal way to carry a needle with an eye. If you ask a tailor, how do you normally carry your needles? He's not going to say, oh, I carry my needles stuck into the lapel of my suit. No, when he wants to carry needles, he carries them in his hand. Or he carries them in a box in his hand. Or a bag in his hand. He doesn't carry them stuck into his lapel. He puts it into his lapel when he's going out looking for jobs. That's when he does it. So that's a unique circumstance. It's not the normal circumstance. Avaloi b'shar pamim, that's not the way you typically carry them. V'had the pasuk b'chaber le'el b'sivches b'dei rishayna debemachat nekuva atruva loy b'bigdoi chayev afilu kol adam. Now the Mishnah Berurah is bothered by an apparent stira. Earlier in Sivches, we had the first opinion brought down by the Mechaber. The Mechaber said, if a man goes out with a needle with an eye stuck into his clothing, it's an issa d'oraisa. And we said, why is it an issa d'oraisa? Because it's not a malbush, it's not a takshit, and he is being moitziat kederech kol hamitziyin. So the first opinion in Sivchas says, it is normal to carry a needle with an eye stuck into your clothing, and therefore it's an issa d'oraisa. And that's by a normal person who's not a tailor. Now we're saying that a guy who's a tailor, who definitely does carry a needle with an eye stuck into his clothing if he's going out looking for work. You're right, he doesn't do it all the time, but definitely if he's looking for work, he does. And now we're saying that that's called atypical, and it's only an issa d'rabbanan. What's going on over here? It doesn't make any sense. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sham Mairi, it's a little bit of a doichik teretz, but this is what the Chavetz Chaim says. Sham Mairi shetchuva bebeged b'mokaim shederech litchayv by b'chayil leprakim. What you have to say is that apparently there are different ways to carry a needle with an eye stuck into your clothing. There's what the uman does. The tailor who's out looking for business, maybe he sticks it right over here in the lapel of his jacket. Like I said, like an identification badge. Right over here, front and center. Hi everybody, I'm a tailor. That's what the uman does. That is atypical. It's atypical for anybody. It's even atypical for the tailor, because even the tailor only does it when he's going to a trade show. He doesn't do it on a Stam Tuesday afternoon when he's busy with his work and he's going out to lunch. He doesn't stick the needle into his lapel. He doesn't put it front and center. So that's atypical, and that's what we're talking about over here in Sif Yud Beis. In Sif Ches, says the Chavetz Chaim, we must have been talking about that there is a normal way to carry needles with an eye stuck into your clothing. I don't know, maybe on the inside over here, by your inside pocket, where I carry a pen. Maybe they carried 15 needles stuck in over there. And that's where, in Sif Yud Ches, we said that the Mechaber says in the first opinion that would be an Issa Daraisa, because that's called B'moitzi Kederech Kol Mitzin. The Kan over here in Sif Yud Beis, Mayri Kishetchuva B'makom She'ein Derech Hitzah Legamri B'kach, Rak L'umen Kisheroitz Al Harish U'umen, L'chein Le'mik V'derech Hitzah, U'patra Fi L'umen. Reb Meir D'Siv Alei Hachi B'Gemara. This is Tzmachloikis Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda in the Gemara in Shabbos. We're paskening over here like Reb Meir. Ubebir Agrola El B'Simin Reish Dod Beis B'Seifer Pasuk Ta'alacha Reb Yehuda the Uman Chayev. The Gra writes that the halacha actually follows Reb Yehuda, that an uman, a tailor, is chayiv if he wears a needle with an eye on his clothing. Because since he at least sometimes does go out that way, like to the trade show, it's called B'moitzi Kederech Kol Mitzin. Rameir disagrees. Okay? We're going to stop over here. We'll continue next time with Sif Yud Gimel. Thank you so much for joining me for Limud HaTorah. The source of Limud HaTorah should be Megan against Klai Yisrael. The Rosh should send Yeshua's Refuah's Panas and Shidduchim to all those in need. We should be zeichet to see the Biaskal Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu Amen. Be well.